Zhang Yi realized that they came from the military district and powerful forces from other cities. However, he suspected this could be a trap. Xian believed the message came from the southern region. Although she didn't know the exact reason they had come to Tianhai, Zhang Yi was concerned that it could mean their shelter was no longer completely safe. Xian clarified that the issue wasn't with their internal network, as their servers were isolated from the internet. Any breach could only be done physically. Zhang Yi guessed their arrival might be related to the zombie attacks. Xian agreed. Zhang Yi decided to accept the invitation. Opposing the upper echelons of the country would be unwise. He was confident it wasn't a trap, but for safety, he would bring all the strong members of his group. He gathered everyone in the shelter to discuss the situation. Chun was worried about external powers entering the city. Zhang Yi reassured him that it was not a risk. Tianhai was insignificant compared to the southern region. What they had here wouldn't attract much attention. However, Chun was still worried that his comfortable life might be threatened. Uncle Yu suggested they accept the invitation, as they didn't want Tianhai to be destroyed by zombie attacks. Lian agreed. If everyone agreed, they would attend the meeting. Meanwhile, Xian would monitor everything through the internet to learn more about the guests. On the appointed day, a vehicle sped across the snow. When it stopped, a group of people stepped out, surprised by the towering walls of ice. One of them complained about how messy the place was. They couldn't even enter the building. A young man with blonde hair said it was not a problem. He would create an entrance himself. To prove his abilities, he demonstrated extraordinary power, managing to cross a mountain of snow. With that ability, they gained access to the building. Not long after, a red truck belonging to Hong Lian arrived. Seeing only one other vehicle, she concluded they hadn't sent many people. There were no instructions, just a hole in the snow. Using her intelligence, she analyzed the hole and determined it wasn't created by any tool, but rather the result of a mutant among them. At the end of the tunnel, a man asked if they were the representatives from the invited military bases. Xiao Hong Lian introduced herself as the leader of the Yenqing base and confirmed she was responding to the invitation. The man recognized her as the former head of Tianhai's criminal police brigade and welcomed her. However, he warned that only she could enter. Her troops would have to wait outside. Hong Lian accepted the arrangement and agreed to enter. Her soldiers were worried and asked if it was truly safe, afraid it might be a trap. Xiao Hong Lian confidently said, even if it was a trap, no one could stop her if she wanted to leave. Sometime later, another base leader approached the location. Wei Dinghai and his right-hand man were stopped because only leaders were allowed inside. His assistant was displeased with the treatment and questioned if something was being hidden. He was told that the instructions were clear, the meeting was for leaders only. If he wasn't the leader, he couldn't enter. Despite his frustration, Wei Dingtian had no choice but to accept the arrangement. He asked his assistant to wait outside and warned him that the blonde-haired man was a powerful mutant. He told him to avoid conflict. Meanwhile, soldiers from other bases laughed at the man who thought he was important but still couldn't enter. The next to arrive was Zhang Yi, as always holding a protective device in his hand. He recognized all his former enemies from a few weeks ago. When the soldiers recognized him, they felt a surge of anger toward the man who had nearly destroyed them. But they couldn't do anything as Zhang Yi walked calmly past them. Before he even approached the entrance, a man shouted, identifying him as Zhang Yi and declaring that only he could go in. Zhang Yi didn't mind. He had come with only a few people, who would wait outside. Unlike the others, Zhang Yi remained calm and simply asked where the meeting room was. The man replied that it was on the 5th floor, to the left, in the 3rd meeting room. Soon after, Zhang Yi found the designated room. Aside from 2 familiar faces, the others were strangers to him. He wondered silently why one of them was wearing sunglasses indoors. Was the man blind? As he took a seat, he introduced himself and apologized for not greeting them earlier. The man with sunglasses introduced himself as Bian Junwu, the captain of the investigation team sent from the southern region of Jiangnan district to investigate the current zombie situation. Naturally, Zhang Yi said he was pleased to meet him. The next person to arrive was an old friend of Zhang Yi from school. He quickly greeted him and asked how he had been. Zhang Yi replied that he had been busy fighting zombies, and it hadn't been easy. He was completely exhausted. Everyone felt a sense of relief, knowing that even Zhang Yi struggled against the zombies. It showed that he was not invincible. Even though they had also suffered, the fact that Zhang Yi was in the same situation gave them hope. At first, Zhang Yi had no intention of revealing that he had already cleared out the zombies in his area. While they waited, the last person to arrive was Zheng Yixian, the right-hand man of the leader of the Snow sect. Once everyone was present, the meeting began. The head of the Jiangnan investigation team, Captain Junwu, confirmed that the zombie crisis had spread across the Tianhai area. As the most influential factions, they were responsible for resolving this issue. He then asked if they truly understood the real meaning behind establishing shelters in the city. He emphasized that those present controlled most of the official shelters and had taken control of all resources. Now, they were asked to think seriously. Benefiting from the resources was one thing. But refusing to take responsibility for regional stability was a sign of incompetence. Wei Dinghai replied that he understood, but added that they were already trying to maintain stability in their regions. The problem was the sheer number of zombies and the chaos everywhere. With their limited resources, they couldn't resolve the crisis. Finally, Wei Dinghai pointed out that Tianhai lacked the powerful weapons and elite forces that the southern region had. Upon hearing this, the southern representative laughed briefly, then turned serious again and said, since they were incapable of handling the crisis, from now on, they would have to obey his orders unconditionally. These words shocked everyone in the room. Zhang Yi immediately thought that unconditional obedience was impossible. Zhang Yixian thought the same. Even Xing Tian commented that, while the southern region was stronger, they were just a few individuals. Underestimating everyone else was a mistake. Xiao Honglian said they might agree, if the southern region was willing to send a large number of reinforcements. Junwu asked whether they all believed he wasn't qualified to lead. The man in sunglasses, Junwu, stressed that the problem of this city was not theirs alone. Zombies couldn't be eliminated completely, and they had begun spreading to neighboring cities, affecting surrounding areas. He slammed the table and reminded everyone that the city of Tianhai did not belong to them. The southern region was the nation's command center. And as the strongest force in the region, they were responsible for Tianhai. He was present as the representative of the southern region. Zhang Yi listened carefully. Junwu continued, stating that if they refused his orders, the consequences would not be pleasant. Honglian asked if they planned to send troops to destroy them if they refused. She declared they were not afraid of such threats. Wei Dinghai seemed to agree with Honglian. Junwu then questioned whether Honglian thought the situation wasn't serious. He explained that they had arrived with two mandates. First, to cooperate with local authorities in handling the zombie crisis and prevent the spread to other cities. Second, if the situation became uncontrollable, they would eliminate the zombies by force, even if it caused massive destruction. These words startled Zhang Yi. He realized that if things worsened, their own base might be in danger. Perhaps now was the time to leave the city, and these people, behind. Junwu emphasized that if they understood the seriousness of the situation, all armed groups in the city must follow orders without question. Even though they were all affected, no one responded immediately. Zhang Yi was the first to express his stance. He declared his willingness to support the southern region's orders. He explained that they had come because the local forces were not capable of handling the zombie and rat crisis on their own. Therefore, accepting help was a logical choice, though not the only one. He added that if each leader could resolve the zombie problems in their own region, they could do so without assistance. Arrogant as always, Honglian doubted that claim, questioning how a small group of people could handle such a large number of zombies and filthy rats. Wei Dinghai agreed with Xiao Honglian, also doubting Zhang Yi's claim. He felt that Zhang Yi was trying to act like a hero, without realizing that the mission proposed was impossible. However, Zhang Yi challenged them to come inspect his territory if they didn't believe him. Because all the zombies had already been eliminated. This offended everyone, as Zhang Yi was indirectly claiming that they had failed. Honglian stood up and slammed the table, accusing Zhang Yi of lying. Zhang Yi calmly challenged them again. If they had doubts, they were free to check. His confidence was enough to convince the southern region's leader, who then asked how Zhang Yi had managed to achieve it. With composure, Zhang Yi explained that zombies tend to gather in areas with large populations. He asked, where were the population centers in this city? Slowly, people began to understand what he meant. Zhang Yi continued by saying that his territory had a small population and was located in a remote area. So naturally, the zombies weren't as interested. Even so, the last battle had been extremely fierce. But he and his group had emerged victorious. He discovered that among the zombies, there was a zombie king leading them, creating sub-commanders to control the others. Zhang Yi eliminated all of them. All the leaders in his region. Afterward, Zhang Yi and his group entered the underground tunnels. To eliminate the threat with the help of weapons from the Shirshan base under their control, Zhang Yi revealed that his region and the surrounding areas were now free of zombies. He went on to challenge Junwu, stating that if the local forces were capable of maintaining regional stability, then the leaders should remain independent without interference from the southern region. However, he also expressed his willingness to cooperate if they needed assistance, and that they could request help at any time. Zhang Yi added that his group was the smallest among them, so they wouldn't be of much help anyway. After hearing this, Junwoo acknowledged that they had done an outstanding job. This proved that Zhang Yi's team had the necessary skills, and the southern region would likely need their strength. With a respectful tone, Junwoo accepted Zhang Yi's independence and thanked him. He then instructed the others to cooperate unconditionally with his forces, share information, and put aside past disputes. Zhang Yixian was the first to agree, ready to discuss how to overcome the zombie crisis.